Hello, welcome to Zentangle Explore. I am Esther Piszczek. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and this is a class where we draw one Zentangle pattern really, really slowly and explore in whatever way you want to explore it. So we're going to start off with a little breathing exercise to slow ourselves down. All you will need is a couple of pieces of, this is watercolor paper, but anything that you can just hold in the palm of your hand, and a pen. I have a 01 Micron here. I have a Sharpie pen. You could even just use a ballpoint pen. Whatever you have will be absolutely perfect. If you can draw a line and you can hold your pen and breathe, then you are in the perfect place. All right, so let's breathe and settle in, and then we will draw. So you can close your eyes if you like. I'm going to close mine. Just check in with your breath. Hello, breath. Welcome to this moment right here, right now. Just sense where you can feel the breath in your body. Where is it in your body that you can find your breath? And what kind of sensation tells you that your breath is there? Is it temperature? Is it warmth or coolness? Is it the feeling of your breath on your skin? Is it expansion in your back or your belly or your chest, your shoulders or your nose, or your throat? Is it contraction? As your body squeezes the air outside of you to make room for it to come back in. However you feel it or sense it is absolutely perfect. Just bring some attention to noticing. Can you hear your breath? Is it making sound? Can you sense your clothing moving when you breathe? Allow all of those sensations, all of that knowing of what your breath feels like, to just be with you in this moment. Can you sense the tempo of your breath, the depth of your breath, or the shallowness? So many ways to experience it as we sit or lie down or stand, however it is that you are positioned in this place that you're in, the place that we're joining in together, either live or on the replay. Just bring gentle awareness. Now perhaps just sense the gentle pull of gravity that allows you to stay in your chair or lying on the floor or wherever you are. It keeps you tethered to the earth in a very grounded way. If we lifted off the earth every time we filled our lungs with air, it would be a much different experience. This breathing thing, this living thing, would be a much different experience. When you're ready, let's take a big breath together to bring ourselves into the same space, coming back to this moment with sound. Nice big inhale. And then releasing exhale. Ah. Allowing yourself to hear the sound that you make that's distinctive to you. The sound of your voice is yours and yours alone. One big inhale. And exhale. Oh. Giving your exhale a sound that's all its own, no matter what that sounds like. And one last big inhale together. And exhale. Ah. Sound giving you the indication that maybe you can even see your breath. See your breath leaving and coming and leaving and coming. When you're ready, you can come fully back into this space that you're in individually, that we're creating collectively, and open your eyes. Okay. I'm excited to draw. So I'm going to change my camera. Thank you for breathing with me. It's so very helpful for slowing down. All right, so I have a couple pieces of paper here and 01 Micron, but whatever pen you have is great. I've got a Sharpie, I've got a couple of different pens. So let's begin. I am going to start over here. And this is a pattern called Sunlight by Eileen Chan, who's a certified Zentangle teacher. And it's fun to draw and it's very specific, but we are going to explore it in whatever way you want to explore it. So I'm going to start right here in the middle, though you could start off the end of the page. I'm going to draw really slow lines. It's a nice curved line. We're just going to allow this to take shape however it takes shape. Allow those lines to wiggle if they're wiggling. Mine's a little wiggly. This is kind of a leaf shape. And know that as we go along here, we're going to look at every component that we're drawing. So this is this very kind of particular shape, but that shape can change in whatever way you want it to. And I'm just going to draw a line down through the middle of the shape. Nice and slowly. And then there are these lines that come up, and you could draw them in either direction. So it's concave or convex or concave, concave or convex. I'm going to go concave for the moment. And they're just as radiating lines, and it's no secret to the number of lines. They all come out of this space in the corner. And this looks pretty much like a leaf right now. But the next part gets a little bit more interesting. I'm going to draw this little crescent. And then a little aura line around the crescent. And if you wanted to add a second aura line around the crescent, you can, or you can just leave it at one. I'm going to leave it at one for now. And then these lines come down here. So in the opposite direction from the other side, and they just kind of stay snug to this little aura, like an aperture of a camera. This is very specific and much different than what we draw in this class usually. And then we can add some weighting, but it doesn't mean that we don't get to explore it and play with it and change it in exactly the way we want. So I'm going to add a little bit of weighting here to the edge. Just these little rounded corners. It's always helpful to add some black or a different color. Any color that you have will work, but something that is a little bit of a contrast so that the pattern feels grounded. And then this inside here, this little space can be colored black. The original creator, Eileen, she colored it black, made it dark. Or again, color will work. Or you could fill it with orbs or circles. Or you could put like a hashtag type of screen type pattern in there. And so what are the ways that this can be changed? So first I'm going to draw it. You could draw it opposite. You could draw it side to side to kind of make a foursome. I'm going to interrupt my pattern here by drawing underneath. So I'm going to start my second one here. And I'm going to imagine where this goes behind. This is drawn behind here. This line keeps going even though I cannot see it. I'm going to bring it out on the other side. So this is how you're drawing it. You know how to draw it. You can see how the size is changing here. The shape is changing a little bit. Maybe this isn't a flat bottom. Maybe it's a more pointed bottom. Maybe this top isn't as pointed. Maybe that center stem has two lines instead of one. Maybe the center stem has a curve in it. No matter what you're drawing, just bring your attention to keeping the lines slow. For the second one, I'm just going to keep with the regular pattern to show you what, because there's so many pieces to it. And I'm going to change this just a little. I'm going to extend this line just past. Make that a little bit bigger for you. Just past and curve it around. Just extend it and then fill that in with black. Curve it around as if that line is hugging the outside. It's another way to add a little bit of the black. And it makes the pattern more three-dimensional. So, and this one's a little bit bigger, so I have a few more spines on this side. Whatever is calling to you is perfect. Maybe the size of this crescent changes. Maybe what you put inside it changes. Maybe you add more auras to the outside of it. I'll add a second one here so you can see what that looks like. And then these can also be wrapped around. And these lines continue to do what they're doing, even though we can't see them. See exactly what they're doing. Maybe they go in a different direction. That one wanted to go in a slightly different direction. What I love about teaching patterns like this that are so specific is, and it can be a little bit of a challenge, but I'm hoping it won't be too much of a challenge, in the ways that you can find to change the pattern and really make it your own. Because this pattern isn't any different than any other pattern that we draw in this class. Yes, there are more steps. then that also leads to the opportunity for more variation. And just because this pattern has so many steps doesn't mean that you actually need to draw all the steps. So what if you like it, the first step or the second step, or you don't like the striated lines on one side but not on the other side? You can do that. Whatever your little inspiration on the inside is saying, well, what if I did this? And what if I did that? And this looks like the perfect place to another one of these. To remind myself to draw slow lines. Draw slow lines. Now, however you are exploring this is perfect. And you can also play with how the elements go in. So just because I started drawing on the right side of this leaf shape first, doesn't mean that I have to do that every time. So you really get to make this work for you. Just because that crescent has an aura doesn't mean it has to have an aura. Just because a line's aura in the same direction doesn't mean that they have to. So you really give yourself full permission, absolute full permission to truly play with every single element of this. And there are quite a few, because if you count the number of lines, the number of parts to this tangle, there are so many of them. And that means that the options for varying those lines are pretty huge. And think about the varieties that you could create of this tangle alone. I haven't counted the parts, but let's just say there are 6 parts just for conversation's sake. If you have 6 parts and you change each part once, you'll have 12 different variations. You can experiment with drawing it upside down. You can experiment with, instead of a flat bottom, a convex bottom. You can take that crescent and put it on the opposite side. It doesn't need to stay on the left side. It could be on the right side. You could add crescents all along one of those sides. You can make them 3 instead of 1. And throughout every single thing that you're doing, your breath is with you, following along. Even when we don't think about it, it's really a miracle Because if we had to think about breathing, I'm betting a whole lot of us would not be here. Because there's so many other things taking our attention that we would all forget to breathe. And then that would just, well, we wouldn't last very long. But fortunately, our bodies are so well designed that we don't need to remember. But it's really helpful to remember. That's what I love about this class about drawing in this way, is because I'm able to take a pattern and say, well, what are the elements? We have these crescents on the left side, although they don't need to be on the left side. We have an aura to the crescent. It's got some sort of fill. And then we have these lines, these striating lines, but here I added these horizontal lines, and that's still completely in staying with the essence of the original tangle. So that's what I mean about changing things. And you can start a new piece of paper at any time. You do not need to keep drawing on one. You can draw off the page. So whatever, if you're having kind of thoughts about, well, what if I did this or what if I did that? And I'm not exploring in that way. I give you full and complete permission to answer those questions with your pen on your page. I don't expect that what you're doing will look anything like what I'm doing at the very end. That's what's so exciting about exploring, because each one of us gets to explore in exactly the way that works best for us. And because we're exploring, we get to value the process of exploring, which means allowing our exploration to be exactly as it is without requiring it to be perfect or beautiful. I actually just started allowing myself or giving myself permission to make ugly art. And it's not that what I'm making is ugly at all, actually, but so it's not a requirement that it's ugly or that somebody would look at it and say, well, that's terrible. That's not the point, at least not for me. The point is that I'm giving myself permission to create without knowing what I'm creating. It sounds a little silly to have been an artist all these years and to only now be giving myself permission to do that, but it's just shifted my mindset in a really beautiful way. So when I sit down to create something, maybe I'll do something for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, and there's no real outcome that I'm trying to get to, which is the shift. I'm not trying to do anything, I'm just playing. And up until this point, that's been something that's been really challenging for me, and I'm finding it very freeing. And my brain says, well, you haven't done anything, there's no outcome. But I have done something, I've learned something. And learning something is far more valuable than actually having something that's produced, something that I could give away, something that I could sell, something that I could frame. because every single thing that I learn in the process of learning layers and builds to create something that is unique. I mean, everything is unique and special to me because I'm the one that's doing it, and nobody else can do it like I do it, and nobody else can do it like you do it. So everything that you do is also special and unique to you. It allows me to create something that my brain wouldn't be able to find on its own. That's what exploring does. It lets us find things that we wouldn't have come up with otherwise because we had this expectation in our head about what it was that we were creating. And that expectation creates walls, limits, or constructs that we then tend to, even if we don't know that they're there, we tend to then limit when something else shows up that's unexpected, then it becomes a problem instead of a brand new idea. And when the entire project is just then filled with brand new ideas that we label as problems, that is a very unhappy way to create anything. And so when I allow myself to explore just for the sake of exploring, not knowing what it is that's going to come out of it, it's really freeing. And it's an excellent practice for me to say, all right, brain, it's okay. It's all okay. Whatever happens is what's happening. And I'm learning the entire time. And so I can say, all right, brain, we're learning. We just learned something. We learned something about color. We learned something about design. We learned something about materials. We learned something about how my pen works. So much learning. And each point of learning brings in a new idea, which brings in new opportunities for changing and shifting that idea, which is what we do in this class. Because there's so many different ways to see something, so many different ways to do something. I often have this argument with my dad when I go home and he says, well, do it this way. This is the way you need to do it. I say, well, I'm doing it this way. And then he gets upset because I'm not doing it his way. But there's nothing to say that his way, if they both end up with the same result, and the result is what's desired, there's no way to say that his way is actually the only way to do something. And often, because he's obviously my father, a lot older than I am, his concern is around safety, which is a valid concern. But me being younger, I might do things a little bit different because my abilities are a little bit different. And that's not to say that his way of doing it is wrong, it's right for him. Just like my way of doing it is right for me. And your way of doing it is right for you. Even if nobody else in the entire world ever thinks to do it that way. Maybe you've discovered something. It's absolutely brilliant. It works absolutely for you. Celebrate that. Give value to your way of doing things because they are valuable. And they don't need to be valuable in that everybody else starts doing them that way. They're valuable just because they work for you. And that's enough. It's absolutely enough. Slowing down and breathing and allowing what you draw to be enough, no matter what. Even if your lines wiggle, even if your lines don't even connect on the page, even if you color outside of the lines, no matter what, they are enough because they are yours. I can't draw them that way. Even if I tried, I wouldn't be able to draw them that way. And that's a beautiful thing because if I could, then they wouldn't be unique to you. And I wouldn't know what works for me because I'd be doing what you're doing, exactly the way you're doing it. And somebody else looking at it would say, well, those two things are the same. That's not very interesting. We all need something interesting. Because otherwise we'd be super, super bored. This is a really fun pattern for adding color to it, or even there's a lot of negative and empty spaces between these leaf shapes. And so you could add color even behind it and allow the shape itself to just do what it's doing. Add color behind it. You could add an aura that kind of ties or puts a little bubble space around all of these shapes. I love it when a line goes astray and I say, oh, well, that's a good idea. Let's do more of that, which just happened for me on my page. And that's the fun of exploring. Oh, before I knew I was exploring, I would have said, oh no, I drew over the line. I've ruined it. And now that I know I'm exploring, I can like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting. I wonder what happens if I do more. What if I make that mistake part of my main thing? What if I embellish it and make it wild? What will happen then? What will happen then is you will draw something you've never drawn before. And it will be super fun. So many things go into the lines that we draw, whether or not we got enough sleep, whether or not we're worried about something, whether or not we feel good in our body, whether or not the sun is shining, whether or not it's raining outside. There's so many things. And I find that when I blame myself for feeling the way I feel and blame my drawing for not being good enough or not being as good as it was yesterday or the way it was last week or whatever else, all I'm doing is creating a lot of suffering for myself when really nothing has gone wrong. I have a pen. I'm learning things with my pen. No matter how the lines go on the page, I'm learning something all the time. And for me, it's so much more fun and enjoyable to bring value to what I'm learning instead of sitting in judgment and saying, well, that's not good enough. And yesterday I did it better and someone else is doing it much better. And it's just terrible. It feels terrible. It's zero fun. Much better to just embrace what it is that you are doing. Let's say, these are the lines I'm drawing. They're super wacky. That's okay. They're not what I intended. Oh well. I don't really like them. Doesn't matter. So much better to hold yourself lightly. There's enough criticism in the world. We don't need to add to it by criticizing ourselves. And it's such a good reminder for me as well that that is true. So thank you for drawing with me so I can remind myself. My lines have value. My ideas are worthwhile. And so are yours. We can practice together. Sometimes things just happen. Our lines go screwy. Snow plows at night. Not right now, fortunately, here where I am, but snow plows wake you up at night. And if we let these things just ruin everything about how we feel and how we function, then it's a really rough way to go through life. If we can just say, oh, well, so the snowplow woke me up at night. I'm just going to be a little tired. It's okay. I'm going to give myself some grace. I'm going to be a little kinder and maybe do a little bit less. I'm going to allow my body to rest in the moments that I have, even if it's just 2 minutes at a stoplight. I'm just going to stop my mind from worrying and just rest. I'm going to sit for an extra minute after lunch. I'm going to feel the warmth of the sun on my face if it's there. I'm going to remind myself that I'm okay, no matter what's happening. These are all tools that are available to us all the time. All we have to do is choose. Choose, choose, choose. Choose to perceive ourselves and our circumstances in a new way. And no one's stopping us from doing it except ourselves. And that is really powerful. So powerful. Okay, I got so excited I forgot about the time. So let's see. This is what I have created. I'm so excited you guys came to draw with me. This is really, really fun. Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's really, really fun to explore patterns with lots of different ways to explore them. So you can continue to explore this pattern in multiple ways, see how many ways that you can do it. I recently did a project where I took one tangle. This was from outside of myself. It wasn't my idea, but I took one tangle and I explored it in 12 different ways with 12 different prompts. You could just find 12 different words and say fly or wind or expectation, and then see what comes out as you draw this pattern and what ways you might want to explore it. It's really fun. You can add different color or different shading techniques to each of these. You can put them on envelopes. You can draw them on note cards and send them off to friends. So many ways to play with lines on the page. So if you would like to donate to this class, you can do so at paypal.me/eternalpossibility. And you can find my work and my artwork and classes at eternalpossibility.com. I hope that whatever way you create from this day on is enjoyable for you.